we're live.
Good.
Hey,
What's
everybody. Hi,
what's up, guys?
everybody. This is Mari Singh Censura. I am here with Josue. Josue, please introduce yourself to everybody before we start this so, they know who you are.
A little introduction on me. I am a Cuban American, Miami born and raised. Talk about politics, but a little bit more than that. Cultural commentary, current event commentary. I have some unhinged takes from time to time, but that's what makes me me. So I think that's what people either love or hate about me. And Madi and I sometimes agree on a lot of things, and other times have total opposite positions. So that's how this kind of came along.
Yeah, I definitely harass you in the DMs and tell you that you're wrong quite a bit. That's because you guys, Josue is would you call yourself MAGA? Would you identify as MAGA?
I would not call myself conservative. I would call myself MAGA. Yeah.
Okay,
I
all
think
right.
they're two very different things.
Okay, and so why are we here today, you guys? We are here because we're going to have a little bit of a debate. We have a little bit of a disagreement on what is going to happen next in Cuba. As you guys all know, this past weekend, it was revealed by the Guardian and also USA Today that there was a secret economic deal that the Trump administration is very close into signing with La Habana. And in that, I guess in that report, there was no talk of political concessions. And I'm here today saying that the diaspora and the exile community will not accept anything less than an economic reform that is coupled with a political one. And Josue here, what is your position on that before we even let's lay the ground terms on this before so then we can start getting into it.
So, very high level, I think that. So, one thing I've noticed about Trump is I watch patterns. I'm a patterns guy, right? Patterns with Trump I have criticized them plenty in the beginning. And then I have to bite my tongue because I realize, oh, I didn't see the longevity of it. So, Trump's very popular for those unpopular, superficial moves until
Mm-hmm.
like some time passes and you're like, oh, you see, I get it. So, this may be another one of those situations. I don't see a future where the Trump administration just opens up the economy without political reform, and then we can get into that. But superficially, I just don't see that as a reality, and we can get into it as we go on.
Yeah, so I guess my argument would be that it's not really about what the outcome is. My position is that I want the Trump administration, excuse me, sorry, I got a notification. I want the Trump administration to know that the diaspora will not take anything less than two things, and I think the entire diaspora can agree on is the release of political prisoners as well as some sort of regime change where the Castros are gone. And it's not that I think it's not going to happen. There's not going to be a reality where there's some concessions going to be made on that. I do think that the Trump administration, especially Marco Rubio, know exactly what the diaspora wants. I understand that. My position is I want to make that abundantly clear to them that we will not accept anything except these two by the baseline terms, right? And that will become a repercussion maybe in 2026 in the midterms, maybe in 2028. That will be a repercussion of the failures of laying that groundwork out. Because Josue, I do think it's going to be hard to leverage the Castro regime enough where it just gives up power. I do think that will be hard.
Why do you think that?
Well, because the groundwork has been laid right where the oil is being siphoned into the MIPYMEs, right? And we know what a MIPYME is, or
Like
should I?
the fake private sector, right?
Yeah. So what a MIPYME is for anybody that's watching on the live, we have 98 people here. Thank you guys so
Oh,
much, by the way. This is going to be a very cool conversation because it's between diaspora and Cuban Americans, and we have a range of different of opinions. But what I think is a MIPYME for anybody who's watching is it's a quasi-private institution within the Cuban economic system where you can open up a small to medium-sized business within the island. The problem is a lot of the MIPYMEs are owned and essentially operated under a like a fake, I want to say fake, they are real people, but they're operated under Gaesa, where Gaesa is the military arm of the communist regime. What I see
Right.
happening is that, okay, let's open up a MIPYME, let's open up a MIPYME for the oil distribution, the oil importation, and it's going to be ultimately run by Gaesa with the military arm, right? So I'm not sure what other leverage Marco can go in there and say, okay, well, you better listen to us like they did in Venezuela.
Bueno, but that's where I kind of have a different take, because I think that the game plan here was, this is why they left Cuba for last, right? The little Bermuda Triangle, that's Iran, Cuba, and Venezuela.
Yeah.
Cuba was the last one for this reason, right? They wanted to starve it out and cut off all of its lifelines. They've done that so well that the only lifeline that island has right now is the U.S. They have no more ties to China, no more. I mean, maybe some phone calls, whatever, but no resources, right? To Iran, to Venezuela, to China. It's the U.S. So at that point, that's when you move from the pressure to negotiation. It's like, what negotiation really is there to be had when, what leverage does Cuba have at this point, or what lifeline? I think they've suffocated them to such a corner that at this point, the government, the regime has no choice but to play along. You know?
I just don't see where they would give up a concession for power. I don't. If they are saying, okay, we're going to open it up to private enterprises to come up in Cuba, right?
Mhm.
That's the first step. That's going to take infrastructure. That's going to take years to develop. Years to develop. We're not talking about, one day to the next. We're talking
Bueno,
about years
yes,
to develop.
yes and no, because you would start off by the areas that make sense, right? Maybe energy, tourism, the things that already have some infrastructure. For example, the places that are full of tourist areas, that has okay infrastructure. You know what I mean? So that would be the first funnel of investment, in my idea, and really managed by the U.S. Kind of like, to me, it would be no different than a Venezuela, right? They left somebody from the old regime in there to kind of be like the manager and to like deal with the U.S. And at the end of the day, they opened up Venezuela's private oil, which is their main source of economy. Whatever the equivalent of that is in Cuba, it would be the same. But it's all overseen by the U.S. And then foreign companies can come in and invest in Venezuelan oil, but Venezuela does not have the money directly deposited to the government. The
Okay,
U.S. manages that.
correct. But who would be that interim president? Wouldn't that be part of the regime? And that is
So, so
that
that,
is
to your point, that's where I think that little piece in the USA Today article said the Castro staying on the island. I think maybe one of the grandsons would be the Delcy to see the transition, because if you remove everybody, then it's the vacuum, right? And then you get called, oh, you see what happens when you do the regime change, and it's like
but we have
you
to be
had.
realistic. Yeah, but we have to be realistic here, Josue. We only have until 2028. That's what's guaranteed to us. Okay. That is what is guaranteed to us. We have essentially what, 2 years maybe, because if Marco's going to run, he's now concentrating on his presidential run, right? And
Yeah.
Marco is not guaranteed to win in 2028. If a Democrat gets in there, olvídate de Cuba. Olvídate de Cuba.
I think they would solidify something before the end of the elections, bro. I think that the fall is within months at best, and then whatever transition I think would be at least solidified enough to survive the 2028 elections. I don't see that as a. And with the regime itself, a lot of people are upset, because they want the Castros immediately out. Like, guys, I know there's a lot of like emotional ties to that, myself as well, and Mari as well, all of us. But the thing here is, if it's going to come at the expense of a vacuum or a collapse, it's best to wait it out, because the other leverage the U.S. has is, why are they indicting the Castros so late in the game? They've had all these years since El Hermano Recade and every other thing. Now they're indicting them, maybe not to use it, but to be like, hey, abide by it, or we scoop you up like Maduro. No different. It's another extra layer. It's like, we're going to need you there, assuming they're leaving them there for the transition, right? We're going to leave you there for the transition, and then whatever the fuck we end up wanting, you got to do it, because we got indictments on all of you. We can snatch you up. So that's why I think like there's like a plan in place, and what I'm trying to communicate is if it is released that, hey, this is just an economic type of thing, it is not Obama 2.0, because in Obama there was leverage, there was no leverage, right? It was a completely different environment and condition. Now the US is its sole provider of everything in Cuba. Right?
Yeah,
They have no other lifelines.
my argument isn't that it's going to be the same strategy as Obama, but it is in terms of economic reform, correct? Obama took a different strategy when it came to leverage. They leveraged the opening up of the markets into political reform. That was Obama's strategy. I think it did not work, right? We could justifiably say that it probably did not work.
But that's why I'm saying, because they had all the other lifelines. Now they don't. You see what I'm saying? It's a different environment.
Correct, but the dangling of removing Helms-Burton was always there if the regime was to comply, and they still did not comply. So why would you think that the grandson wouldn't just wait it out until the Trump presidency is over with? And we have to remember that Cuba is not like Venezuela or any other place in the world. One of the positive things about, I guess, the 67 years of dictatorship is that there are no opposition factors inside of that country. There are none. Yeah. So there wouldn't be like a fight for a vacuum to begin with. I don't see one happening unless it comes from the diaspora on the outside.
So, little insider information. I actually went yesterday to La Asamblea de Resistencia Cubana.
Oh, okay. What'd you find out?
So there's two oppositions, right? There's this one, and there's Rosa Maria Payas, which is Cuba Decides, I think it's what it's called.
Yes.
To not give too much information out there, they do, on both sides, have a plan forward. I did a video on this, but the question here was, hey, you guys can mock up whatever you guys want. The question is, are you guys in communication with the administration? Like, because you could be planning everything you want, but at the end of the day, like, you know what I mean? And they confirmed, they were saying that, yeah, they do have a direct line to the administration, and they are in talks towards whatever, you know, how to shape that transition whenever it does happen. So it seems, sorry?
Was it both groups or
I was only there for La Asamblea de la Resistencia Cubana. So, but they're working together. They made a plan together as one. Both organizations together. But the one that I went to yesterday was this one, and they were the ones that confirmed that there are open communications with the administration for a future transition whenever that may be. So that's why I'm saying I don't think that it would be past 2028. These guys are smarter than that, bro. There's no way they're going to drop the ball. I'm Marco.
I'm not saying that they're not smart or anything like that. I'm just saying like that I don't know if there's enough time between now and 2028 to establish parties, establish an election, establish a change in government from 2028. I cannot see that happening in less than 2 years. I really can't. It takes enormous amounts of time.
Yeah.
Well, when we're talking about like a country that hasn't voted in 67 years, we're talking about an entire generation that has never voted, do not have any sort of concept of political debates, have no concept of different parties to begin with, right? And so that is the concern, I think, from the exile community, is if we keep a Castro in there,
I see.
Lengthen this. That is for me. For me, that is the biggest concern, because
that makes sense.
Because we can, like, I trusted Obama in 2016, and I will tell all my followers. Well, I thought in 2016, I'm going to make this very clear to everybody who's watching. I thought in 2016, I knew, and I still maintain the position that politically speaking, the embargo has been ineffective to change Cuban politics. It has. 67 years, the embargo. Yeah, the embargo has not done anything. So in 2016, when Obama came, I was like, okay, let's try it out. Let's try this strategy out. Let's see if it works. That proved to be wrong. So this time around, I'm very cautious to leaving a Castro in there.
I agree. But again, that's why I really see this as two very different strategies. And it's mostly because there are no lifelines, right? Even if they do leave, let's say, Cangrejo there, which is the grandson of Raul Castro, for those that don't know, to be the Delcy Rodriguez, what lifeline does he have? The only lifeline that he has is what you brought up, is him trying to elongate it enough for the 2028 elections to come, and hopefully a Democrat comes in and then things can shift around. That's, to me, the only lifeline. And I would think that the administration would take that into account, right? Like, we need to solidify this or codify it to such a degree that whatever happens in US elections in 2028, Cuba is still on that path to rehabilitation, or whatever we want to call it, right? I just don't see them dropping that. To me, that would be a big drop of the ball, and I don't see them doing that. You know what I mean? Because you're absolutely right. I didn't think of that, but yeah, if they were to elongate it enough, you know, I mean, if Marco wins president 2028, that's like jodieron para la pinga. But
yeah, I mean, that should be a different scenario if Marco wins presidency. Talking different, but let me ask you a question. I am not in Miami. For everybody that thinks that I am in Miami, I do not live in Miami. I don't live in Florida at all. But you do. And so do you think that the Democratic Party, well, how do you think the Democratic Party will respond if they gain some sort of control with the Cuban American community? How do you think that they will?
What I've noticed with the Democrats, right, is that they've changed their tune a lot. Not like retarded individuals like AOC, like esos son caso, what is it? Caso sin lost cause. She's a lost cause. But the party as a whole has shifted from that far left narrative and that far very woke thing to being, or at least announcing to be, a little more centrist. I don't know if you heard Hillary Clinton recently. I think it was at the World Economic Forum, but she took upon different approaches when it came to immigration, for example. And then she started sounding like the Hillary Clinton from back in the 90s, which we have plenty of record of. Oh, you know, like some borders are needed. Like, we can't just. So they're obviously noticing that far left rhetoric was losing people. Like, people were like, bro, you're retarded. Like, you're just pimping out the entire country at our cost.
Okay.
So they've changed their tune a lot. So with the Cuban Americans, I think they'll play similar ball. I think it's disingenuous, though. I think it's just rhetoric to get their foot back in the door. And then once they get elected, just be fucking like back to the old, borderline socialist Democrats that we know nowadays. But with specifically, I don't know how it would be, but I think that they would appease the Cuban Americans as much as needed for the vote.
Really? Okay, so here's my thought on this, because I think it benefits the Cuban American community that Florida is purple. I think it benefits us.
Why?
Let me explain to you this, okay? Take away your party politics. Take away your party politics. Strategically wise, we need both the Democrats and the Republicans to kneel and bend to us. Okay? We need both of them. When Florida became deep red, I think the Castros were applauding it. They were applauding it. They loved it. Let me tell you why.
Hot take. Why do you say that?
I'll tell you why. Because the Democrats are now free to go against Helms-Burton, a cause that really they didn't even give a shit about anyways. They only cared to appease the Cuban Americans. You want to go out and look at the poll right now? Most Americans.
But it was a Democrat. It was Bill Clinton that put it, no? His administration.
No. Yeah. No, Helms-Burton is the embargo.
Yeah. But
the original embargo was 1960.
See, I know, but the Helms-Burton is what I'm talking about. You're talking about the embargo, like back in the day.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm talking about the embargo.
Got it.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. The original embargo, right? If we did a poll on most Americans don't care about the embargo on Cuba. They don't care. And they don't care if it's lifted or stayed. They don't care.
Anyone outside of South Florida. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the Democrats now don't have a base to appease, because the base is always going to vote Republican. Always going to vote Republican. So what do they have to lose? Yeah, I know. What do they have to lose, right? What do they have to lose if they go out and say that Cuba is the victim of U.S. imperialism, that Cuba is the victim of the U.S. embargo? They have nothing to lose because they don't have a constituency to appease.
Yeah, it's like, what are they gonna? We're gonna be even more alienated from the Cuban Americans as a party. Like, what do we care? We already lost them anyway. Type of thing.
I think it's always strategically, if a group of people, whatever your cause is, let's say you want free healthcare or whatever, I think strategically, if you have a group of people that want a cause, it always benefits you to be nonpartisan. That's my hot take.
You're saying you're saying it because in the event that they do come into power, is what you're saying.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. They both of them have to kneel to us. And if one goes, you know what, fuck it, they're always going to give food to that person that's kneeling, not me. They're going to walk away from us and our issues and our causes.
But weren't they going to do that anyway? Like, I don't.
No, because Florida, as you know, was so important to the elections.
Yeah.
Now it's not. Imagínate lo cubano en Arizona here. They would be clawing at us to get how many people lost? How many people did Trump lose in Arizona? I think it was like 10,000 people. That's it. 10,000.
Something like that.
That could be the Cuban American community, and then they have to bow down to us.
I see what you're saying, but the eventuality of Florida, bro, I think Florida's redder than Texas at this point, isn't it?
No, for sure. Yes.
Florida's super fucking red. Like,
I know.
I think we're right.
I'm just saying, in like long term for the 2028 elections, I think the Cuban Democrats, if there's any Cuban Democrats that are watching us right now, I think they should make it known that like a part of the platform should be that you are anti-Castro. You're the anti-Castro regime. Like, we're not going to take it. We're not going to accept any sort of anything else other than a complete and utter regime change in Cuba. Even Democrats.
Yeah, but that's at that point during the election, that wouldn't even be a conversation because the regime change or the transition or the invasion or whatever it ends up happening is happening now. See what I'm saying?
Correct. I mean, but we don't know that because it's going to take years. This is going to take years to do a regime
the process. You're saying, yeah, I see what you're saying.
I think, but at the end of the day,
and all this entire conversation could just go out the window if they decide to annex it or make it a territory. Imagine out of the bag, they're just like, if it happens, right? Let's say like whatever possibility, either a territory or a state. All of this is this entire conversation. There's no point for it, but we're being not skeptical. We're bouncing ideas.
It's okay. First of all, I made a video on this, Josue, and if anybody wants to watch it, it's on my page. But I think the idea of annexation is completely out the door because to get annexed, you need the states.
Right, they have to vote on it.
Yeah, so annexation is completely out the door. I think territory is the most absurd, egotistical ask of the Cuban American community to ask the American people to do.
But don't you think the Cubans in Cuba would want that? I think they would.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or become an extension of Florida?
I don't think it should be an expense of Tommy and Mary that live in Iowa.
That's a good point. Yeah, because Tommy and Mary don't even know where the fuck Cuba's at in a fucking map anyway.
They think we eat tortillas, okay? They think we eat tortillas.
The water Mexicans.
Yeah, that's what they think we are.
The Caribbean Mexicans.
For sure. I mean, most Americans think that, we're just, everybody is Mexican. Everybody's Mexican.
Okay. I'm racist as fuck. It's fine.
Or they think they know we're Cuban, but they think the culture is the same, Yeah. So I think it's just absurd to ask to be a territory. I think it's so absurd to ask, especially the MAGAs. How are you going to position that to America first?
Well, because then you would have to convey how many benefits that would bring us, right? And I think the number one benefit is Trump Tower, correct? Ahí en La Habana, que quiten el Capitolio y pongan ahí un Trump Tower. Like, I'd be down as fuck for that. You know how happy the Cubans would be? Que viva Donald Trump! But I think the control that we would have over that piece of geography is the utmost precious jewel of making it a territory. Because why? You control security, you plant bases, right? At that point, there is no more, because think about how problematic Cuba has been for ages, and it's all because it's so close to the fucking US. Like, if Cuba was where DR is at, none of this would be an issue, right? Nobody would give a fuck about Cuba. But it's so close that it's a threat, right? If you leave it vulnerable up to its own devices, in 5 años, China comes back in, or Russia, it became a vulnerability again. So how do you stop that? You take it over, a friendly takeover. You make it a territory. And then the second thing that I didn't know until recently, and I made a video on it, was you have to listen to how Trump talks. He's been crying about the Panama Canal because the Chinese took it over. He wants to take it back. He's doing that. He wants Greenland because of the Arctic passages, right?
Correct.
And then there's three main shipping routes in the Western Hemisphere. Those are two. The third one, Cuba controls them. It's the Yucatan Channel, the Florida Straits, which is shared by the U.S. and Cuba, and the Windward Passage. So by controlling the island as a territory, you control the trading routes. So at that point, Trump just got the three main routes on the west. We control the entire trade routes in the West. So to me, those two things are enough to take it over as a territory. And there's more, the money and whatever, but.
Okay, that could be a justification. That's a good point. I'll give you that, Josue. That's a good point. What about the amount of money it would take to invest in a Cuba?
So that's the other thing. I've thought about that plenty, and it's a double-edged sword, right? Because at some point there will have to be some U.S. funding, but then you also think, right?
Point, if it's a territory, it will be.
But think about it this way, right? If Trump really is going into this with an economic plan first, right? That's the first thing that's gonna, let's say it's like a phased out thing. Part of that economic plan would probably be to generate enough capital for the island to fix its own issues with its money as much as it can, right? I don't know, who knows how much money it'll generate the first year versus second year, whatever. But those same funds could be used for the island itself, so it doesn't really deplete from U.S. funds. To some extent, there'll probably be, like Puerto Rico, some welfare involved, as you've mentioned before. But I think as a whole, they would probably want to get the island to be enough of an economic engine to self-sustain itself to the max capacity possible without taking too much from the U.S.
I still think that would take billions and billions. And can you hear me?
Yeah.
I still think it would take billions of dollars to reconstruct, because we're not just talking about we're talking about roads, we're talking about infrastructure, hospitals, schools.
Everything.
I mean, we're talking about everything. And then we also have another problem, Josue, that is very, and maybe we need to get an economist to help us out on this part of the question. I think we're going to be talking about this tomorrow. By the way,
let's that announcement. Yeah.
By the way, for anybody who's watching, Josue and I are going to continue this conversation tomorrow with hopefully with a Cuban economist that's going to talk about what, like, economic wise, what this means for Cuba, a transition into capitalism. Because another concern that I have, and I've been conflicted with my own libertarian economic philosophy on this, is that libertarians, okay, we're better than you. Just kidding. That the Cubans don't have capital, and the only people that do have capital are Cuban Americans and or people on the outside, which is going to create, for me, I think, a very big problem income-wise for people.
Wait, why do you say that? Because that's the main engine. I think that's what Trump is depending on. It's foreign investment. Because
for very little people, I think we're just going to cycle right back to communism. Because what I see happening is that, okay, Cuban Americans are going to come. Remember, I think we need to point out that in Cuba, not everybody is poor. Okay, there are Cubans with a lot of money. Okay,
what percentage is that? Probably like 5% or something like that.
No, I'm not saying it's a big percentage at all. There are Cubans with some money, so there are Cubans who are willing and have money in their bank account that can make their own businesses in Cuba. I'm not discounting that. What I'm saying is that the majority of Cubans do not have the capital to compete with Coca-Cola, with Hilton, with
smaller business is what you're saying.
Correct, right? Or a Cuban American that does have the capital. So now what we create a societal problem where, it's a division between the Cuban Americans and the Cubans that stayed on the island.
That's a good point. It's that divide because it already exists nowadays.
It already exists.
The video I just did with Jose Marti, like, tú no eres cubano. And I'm like, bro, I am fucking, I wasn't born on the island, but like,
yeah, but even like you see it today inside of Cuba, and I wish, it's free so you can go and you can see it. But you
Yeah.
see it today on the island where somebody has a family on the outside, because the quality of life is much higher than the Cubans who don't have that lifeline, right? So it creates that like imbalance of Cuban cap, like it's already a playing field that's unequal.
I see what you're saying, and that's literally what causes people to support socialism is the inequality, right? That's
That's
igual
what
que
I
está
mean.
pasando in New York. New York is the same exact thing. Why did everybody fall from Mamdani? Because of the inequality in wages, too expensive. I can't pay my rent. We need equality,
Correct.
and that's how you get got, right? There's no
Correct.
equality in nature. That shit's it's fake.
Yeah.
So to me, what they're trying, what they're to me, the plan will be, hey, regime in Cuba and the Cuban people, you have two paths, right? Path one is access to energy, to oil, to tourism, to foreign investment, to all this shit, right? But you gotta work. But you gotta,
Ponte la
participate in
pena.
capitalism. Yeah. Or you can stay behind in the old, way, but you're just gonna have to figure it out, right? There's gonna be we're not gonna help you out. If you want welfare, you need to work for the welfare, right? You need to do something for it, right? It's like here I get que la dan ayuda a la gente, but they have to like put in hours or something like that. I don't really know how it works, but something like that, right? You have to do, well, yeah, but you have to show proof that you're like it's no longer waiting your turn. It's almost like credit, right? You need to do something to receive that help back, and it'll be, in my opinion, like a rehabilitation road. Because to your point, what needs to be fixed up most is the psyche. The economy and everything else that's obviously the physical aspect. But in order for everything to work and the engine to run smoothly, you have to make 9 million people unlearn 7 decades of waiting your turn. Unlearn 7 decades of, hey, no ni trabajes por eso because you're not going to receive anything in return, pa qué, type thing, right? And it's also building the trust with them because los pobres like van a entrar like, and yes, actually yesterday in this meeting, some lady brought up a good point that she said that the organization should be communicating to make the Cuban people in the island feel that have, for example, una casita que el gobierno le dio, because you know how no one owns anything over there, so they'll give you like, hey, here's a house, live in it, whatever, even if it's falling apart.
Yeah.
But she was making the point that in their mind, it's probably like, no, I don't know what to expect from, let's say, the new government, right? People want their shit back. The diaspora wants their shit back. A mí me van a quitar, no, por lo menos tengo mi techito. Yeah, I won't have food, but at least I have this roof that's falling apart, but it's a roof. I don't know what to expect with the new government if they take this away to give it back to the owner from like 60 years ago. And these are things that I didn't even think of, but it's true, right? And as you go, you'll come up with more things like this.
Yeah, that's a big concern. Even when I was there, I went to I heard several people saying that they're afraid that the exiles,
yeah, you got to build the trust.
Years ago, are going to take their homes. I think that is insane, and I will tell any person in the diaspora.
You can't blame them though. Like they expect anything at this point,
No. I think it's insane for the diaspora because I have heard some of the diaspora and the exiles say that they want their homes back.
Well, and there's nothing wrong with that either.
No, I mean, there is nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with the sentiment, and I understand.
But they have to be realistic.
But at this point, you cannot kick people out of their homes that they've had now for 60 years.
Yeah. It's not their fault. It's not their fault.
Yeah, and then we're like in this like Israel-Palestine debate, like who are the true native owners? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right. That's a great point. Yeah.
Like, who are the true native owners of this house? Was it was it the como Josue that was a person that was born in Miami that, you know what I mean? Or is it mine now? So we had that's a huge debate in the inside of Cuba. People are really afraid that the diaspora is going to come for their houses.
Yeah,
it's crazy. But you make up a really good point because I think these are all really big questions that many people in the diaspora, certainly many people maybe on this that are watching us right now, is these are really big questions that I don't think we have answered as a Cuban community in the Cuban diaspora for 67 years. What does freedom look like? What does liberty look like? And what does a capitalist economy look like post Cuban history? I mean, post Cuban communism, right? I always tell people we should look into the Soviet Unions, how they relatively transferred over into capitalism. The best example of complete market revitalization is Singapore. Singapore 60 years ago was a fucking marshland with poor people, with hope.
They're the richest, fanciest Asians now.
They
Like,
are by far the richest, one of the freest countries in the entire world, according to the Free Economic World Index. Yeah, and that happened in one generation. So what can we learn from the Singaporean? How do you say Singaporean?
I guess, yeah. Singaporean.
Singaporeans. What can we learn from them that we can apply to Cuba? And I think there lies a really big answer too. But these are really great questions, Josue. I think you and I are tackling really very serious questions, because I think very superficially for 67 years now, all of us in the exile community were like, oh, we want freedom for Cuba. But what does that actually mean? What does that mean? Yeah. Because we have let me ask you this. Now that we're debating here, and there's a group of exiles that when it comes to liberty in Cuba, they want the abolishment of the Communist Party. What do you say to that?
Of course. Abolishing it? Yeah, absolutely. To me, I view it as almost like a Hitler situation. I know it's a political party, and I mean, I guess his was too, but in the way of it was brought on so disingenuously, by a lie. It wasn't even voted in. And then the massacres and murders that happened, and the theft of land and property. Absolutely, they should probably, if they want multi-parties, obviously good for them, and they can do whatever the fuck they want. But at least that one party, it's no, man, why would you even reconsider? It's too far gone. It's too far fetched in my opinion, right? It's almost like a slap in the face.
Okay.
How are you going to be crying for 7 decades and then have the option to go back to that? No.
Well, then what is freedom? It's everybody except the communists?
Well, no, they would all have to agree on this, right? As a democracy, be like, hey, we want all these parties minus this is something that we just it's just something that we don't align with as a country, right? Everything between right and left, but not that left. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I mean, you have hardliners that are really the Communist Party should not be tolerated. If you guys have access to the chat, let us know what you guys think. Should the Communist Party keep existing in Cuba or not?
I can't see the chat, so communicate.
You can't see the chat? Oh, they are chatting.
I'm on StreamYard, so.
I know I'm on StreamYard too, but I can see the chat. You can't see it on your end?
StreamYard? Coño, aquí comments. ¿Verdad que yo soy bruto, bro? Yeah, okay, I got it.
The chat is chatting.
Communists aren't people, they're demons. Why would you want? No, that country needs an exorcism, bro.
Well, then that's why I said, why would you? So then, Josue, how dare you say that there should be a transitional government?
What do you mean?
How dare you say that the nieto de Fidel or Raúl should be in there then?
No, lo digo porque at that point, he's just a manager, right, of a company at that point. He has no real power. At that point, he's assisting to not let the country become a vacuum. Like a Delcy. Delcy's still a fucking communist, igual que tanta gente. Pero she has no power. Really, Trump is the president of Venezuela.
It's true.
It's the truth.
It's true. Just like Díaz-Canel is not the president of Cuba.
No, ese está más perdido que una vaca en campo lechuga. You can tell. By the way, you made the point that he has no. And in the chat, please, you guys, let me know if you agree with this. Díaz-Canel, look, talk all the shit you want about Fidel, horrible human being, pero él tenía porte and presence, you know?
Yeah.
Piece of shit, but it's the truth. Díaz-Canel looks like the manager at Walgreens. Or the assistant manager, it's just un cero la izquierda. There's no charisma, there's no aura, there's no, you know?
You know, Josue, I was in Cuba when Diaz-Canel became president. It was in April of 2018. He became president. And I remember that day, and I was like, okay, Joel, are they going to have an inauguration? Like, are they going to have, like, because I wanted to go, because I thought it would be historic if, you know, to see a new president that wasn't a Castro. So I was like, okay, you think they're going to have an inauguration? Let me tell you right now that inside of Cuba, nobody knew who the dude was. They didn't know who he was.
Oh wow.
They had no idea who he was. Only a few people, you know, that are like it was into that knew who he was. They didn't know that they were even having a transition to a new government, a new president. There was no signs. There was nothing. It was no, I'm telling you, it was insane. It was like from one day to the next, it was Diaz Canel. There was no like announcement, no party, no inauguration, no anything, nothing. It was one day to the next. And if anybody was in Cuba in the chat, like you guys probably can confirm, but it was very, very, very eerie and strange. I will say that.
I mean, at least they were not real, but at least they were kind of like in your face about it. Like, yo, it is what it is. You know, they didn't even pretend. Like, imagine putting up all these campaigns and different candidates like Boguto. Like, no, everyone knows what it is. You know.
Yeah, así mismo.
¿Para qué disfrazar la cosa?
Yeah. So, do we come to a sort of agreement, or are we still disagreeing?
I think well, let me ask you this, right? Because I think our main disagreement was: do you think there is a possibility, right, where Trump and Rubio and the administration go into Cuba without plans for political reform, meaning just economic, right? That's where we disagree. I don't think that's a reality. And then the Helms burden that you brought up earlier, that kind of backs it up because it's already law, I believe. So since '96, so the administration has to abide by it, that they cannot invest and open an economy there without the political prisoners being freed, without essentially another Venezuela, you know? Open up the oil, but then we've seen freed political prisoners. We've seen people practicing freedom of speech without the fear mongering from before, you know, and there's privatization now and foreign investment. So things are moving.
I think what they can leverage is the political prisoners. I think that's an easy win for the regime, for us. I think that's one of the lowest hanging fruits is to release the political prisoners.
Right.
I think it's going to be much more difficult to negotiate out of power. I don't know if the administration can give us that. I think there might be a pathway, like what you said, a transition.
Yeah,
but
that's what I
right now. I am not accepting that. I'm not accepting it. I'm not.
No, and to your point, I'll concede there. I think none of us, if that is a reality, the reason I'm taking this approach is because I don't even think that's a possibility or reality. I just don't see them going into it without plans, especially Rubio. Do you know how bad that would look on Rubio? Después de todo esto, and then not even remove the people, and then not just that, but they know how the Cuban Americans, come election time, se les van a revirar todo el mundo. Like they're not that retarded, bro. So to me, it's not even possible. But if it was, then I completely side with you. Then we should not allow that at all, right?
Yeah, I just
stabilize the country, remove the cancer.
Yeah, I just wanted, I guess the reason why I reacted on my Instagram the way that I reacted is because I want to make it very loud and clear where the line is being drawn before they make any sort of announcement, is that I don't think we should accept as the diaspora anything less than this. If it's anything less than this, do not even dangle it on our fucking faces. Do not even dangle it on my face. Okay, don't have the hopes come up and then do it half-ass, because that's not what we want, and that is not what, and it makes us look like assholes.
No, and it would break everyone's heart too. Like the one time, and then it's Obama 2.0. I completely agree. If that were the case, but I just don't see that happening, bro. I don't see Rubio like smearing, what is it, cuando pasa pena, like on his fit, like dirt on your face or whatever the term is. Trump with his ego, like, come on, man. I don't know if you saw, Colombia had elections, I think a few days ago, and there was a bunch of leftist seats. Yeah, so they have a few elections. The presidential's in August, though.
Yeah,
But
that's
they
what
had
I
like
was gonna say.
but they had like one now, I think a few days ago, and there was a bunch of leftist seats that because of Obama's agreements with Latin America and Havana, I'm not too well versed in it. The FARC took a bunch of congressional seats within Colombia, leftist, right? All of these got kicked out a few days ago. So they're all leaning right now. So Colombia is trending
Wow.
right now, which is now super left. But again, this is because of the Trump pattern, right? It's slow. There is influence. So I don't see Cuba not taking that same path. Is what I'm saying. Like all of this is bigger than Cuba. Like I think there's a strategy in place that is bigger than Cuba. So Cuba will fall in line with that strategy. That's why I just don't see that being a possibility. You know.
Okay, well, I mean, like we said, this conversation can go all to shit
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Right.
If
Yeah. Well, this is all speculation, guys. Like this is from the limited information that's been released by the press. At the end of
yes,
the day, we don't really know.
this is very limited information. We, Josue, nor I, contrary to popular belief, do not work for the CIA, and we have no information besides
Or
what is
Mossad.
or Qatar.
Or Qatar. Gotta say that one too. Now you gotta list them all.
No, we're just useful idiots that do this for free. But it's true.
Not even get into that.
But we just don't know. We all don't know. And I think that was my initial reaction, was to be like, oye, que no, que no, que no, que no.
No,
You know,
I
que no.
completely side with you.
Right. And so that's what I think when people messaged me, they were like, well, you don't even know. Why are you overreacting? Well, I'm overreacting so they fucking know, bro. Like they fucking know that we are not to be messed with. We are not to be messed with.
Espérate, Mari, I saw a comment here that I want to ask you because I don't know the answer to this. Maybe you do.
Oh.
So someone said, Sparked Design said, why not draft a constitution with a Bill of Rights? Like within Cuba, there is a constitution, though. That's actually something that was brought up yesterday. They would have to remake the 1940 Constitution, I think was the last one in Cuba.
Yeah.
La que se tía antes de, because it's probably so outdated at this point that they just need to this person's point, right? They would need to redraft, I'm guessing, a brand new constitution. Obviously, yeah.
The 1940 Constitution was promised by Fidel Castro.
What do you mean? But he didn't come into power until 59.
So so a little bit of history. 1940, the Constitution was passed. Batista was the first democratically elected president of Cuba. That wasn't put by the United States. Like that was voted by the people.
Got it.
Okay. So 1940, okay, so he ends his term. In 1953, he does a golpe del Estado where he resumes power, right? And so when Fidel came in, he said, no, I'm promising a return to the 1940 Constitution.
Oh.
That's what I want to bring back.
Una de las tantas mentiras que mintió.
Yes, he said on national, and he said I am not a communist. I want democracy. I want the 1940 Constitution. That's what he promised to people when he started in the 26th of July movement.
Yeah, he was a capitalist. Democratic capitalist, basically.
That's what he promised. And resultó que ya tú sabes lo que pasó. But I would say, why don't we go back to the 1940 Constitution? I think it worked once. I mean, it probably needs to be a little bit refined to modern day times. Like, I don't know, the question of LGBTQ rights and all the esa pila de mierda. Oye, that's another tema. But everything that's been updated till now, and I think it should be the reversal of the 1940 Constitution. I think it's already there.
That's a good point. I have no idea what I'm actually gonna, after we're done here, I'm gonna take a look at it because I don't even know what the hell's in there.
I'm gonna send you this book called The Man Who Made Fidel. It is so interesting. It is the most interesting book I've read on Cuba.
But
it's about a man, a journalist, American journalist that went to interview Fidel.
Oh, wait, my God. Wait, I saw a video today on Twitter about this. Some girl, like, yes, it's on my, I'll send you the link. Do you know who Gaby Blanco is? Or no?
No.
Gaby Blanco, I think she's an activist. She's here in Miami, Cuban as well. Bueno,
Okay.
she was part, or this girl knows her because she mentioned Gabby's name on the video, and it's a white girl, so I was very surprised because most white girls are like super like lib type thing, or they're just not as informed. Super well informed, and she brought up that guy. I forget his name, but he went to La Sierra Maestra, I think, to
Yes.
interview him. And Fidel was so strategic that he invited the
Mhm.
American media, and that's how
Mhm.
he blew the fuck up.
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
He's the one that made Fidel, and up until this day, he doesn't know if Fidel tricked him or not.
100%, 100%.
So yeah, yeah, yeah. But he got a lot of heat when Fidel became. You have to read the book. It's incredible, and it's
¿Cómo se
also
llama el
like
libro? The Man Who Made
it's
Fidel.
the man that made Fidel, who made Fidel, the man who made Fidel, and the man who made Trudeau. It's the sequel.
I saw.
Wait, I gotta do a video about the Trudeau insane derangement. You guys, Trudeau is not Fidel Castro's son.
100% he is. Like, tiene la
No.
misma cara. La madre andaba por allá, tú sabes, de Putinsky, y
No.
pasó lo que pasó.
No. Anyways, but yeah, it's a great book. I suggest everyone to read it. If I had like my little Amazon referral link, I would send it to everybody. But no, it's an incredible thing. That's also that book also explains why that's why Cubans think that Fidel Castro was a CIA plant.
I have my theories on that too. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a whole other fucking.
That's a whole other rabbit
But
hole.
there's a lot of weird things there. Yeah.
There's a lot of strange things that
And a lot of benefits. Yeah.
Like you're like, maybe Fidel was CIA.
Yeah. So the theory was that he was, and then he defected, like he went rogue after or whatever the fuck. Who knows? But
You have Cubans that think he was CIA all the way to the end, bro.
Yeah. I know. Well, when I posted it on my stories, because I wrote like a little quick like X thread about it. There was a few people that mentioned that they're already like their parents were deceased, ya que eran más mayores, and saying that they believed to the end that Castro was an agent. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because you had the leftists say that the CIA tried 600 times. That number is completely fabricated. It was never.
Right. It's ridiculous.
It was completely fabricated. But yeah, who knows? But I do suggest the book. But yeah.
Okay, I wrote it down. I'll take a look at it.
All right. Well, I think should we take questions? What do you want to do, Josue?
Yeah, let's take questions for the next 5 minutes if you guys want. We'll wrap up at 10. If there's
Okay,
nothing
let's
else.
wrap up in 10 minutes. What do you say? We're at 50 right now.
Yeah, that's fine.
An hour. Okay,
Yeah.
if you guys have any questions, put them in the chat for either Josue or myself. And then we can.
Our government hands have touched every country.
Do Democrats have strong enough candidates to defeat the right in 2028? A little bit off topic. Gavin Newsom probably is the closest, or Josh Shapiro.
Yeah, Josh Shapiro probably. Newsom is a bro. Everyone sees through Newsom at this point, even the left. They're just like he's like a Disney villain.
Mari, what do you think is necessary for a good deal? Okay, I have laid out my points. Is the release of political prisoners needs to happen immediately. I want to see Alcantara freed. I want to see Michael Sobo freed. I want to see Luis Robles freed. I want to see El Cuartico freed. I want to see all of the other political prisoners freed. That needs to happen immediately. And we need a transition to multi-parties. That is the basis. That is the least that I want. The bare minimum.
Yeah. No, I think that's reasonable. Yeah. That's not. Somebody asked here for my it's at what Josue has to say. Same thing. I'm not really too active on YouTube, but I am gonna get it back up and running. But it's the same handle as Instagram at what Josue has.
I know that there's a way to put it on here, but I can't figure it. Yeah, please.
Edit name. Let me see if I can.
Please put it in your name.
Josue has to say.
Okay.
I did it here, guys.
Will the stream be available to watch after it concludes? Yes, mi vida. I hope we were entertaining enough for an hour.
I hope so. Yeah. This is like my first live
This is my first live too on YouTube.
on YouTube.
Please
Yeah,
do an event in Miami. So many millennials are on this cause with you. Okay, well, I am coming to Miami very soon. I have to come to Miami for some just personal stuff with things, and I'm gonna be there for at least 2 weeks. So, yeah. Well, I mean, if you want, I hate doing meetups, Josue, because then you like sit there and you're like, okay, no one came. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's a little bit of a pressure, but nah, if you give it enough announcement and hype up, I think we'll get, and it's when it's more than one party, you'll get more people because like people that like you more than me or people that like me more than you. You know what I mean? Like it's not if it's just one person, it's a little more pressure.
I'm a moderate, so everyone hates me at all times.
True. Me.
Based on your knowledge, when do you think we will have a final answer on what's happening in Cuba? I think we're going to have it by the end of this month. What do you think?
Yeah, I saw somebody else asked here. I think by the end of the month we'll have clarity, and I think we'll see movement. So clarity meaning like disclosure to some degree, and then movement. I think in April would begin. I thought it was February, to be honest with you, but it ended up being Iran. But it's around the corner, man, and I don't think that the U.S. government's gonna let Cuba. It's bad, bro. Like it's bad, and the fact that something we didn't talk about really briefly is how empowered the Cubans in the island feel now to go out and protest, because it's to get them out to protest is at that point because obviously they're scared. They control their food, and then they'll fucking disappear them, whether kill them or jail them. So they feel so supported and backed up by Trump and the administration that they almost feel like, well, things are so bad, one, and two, we're aware of what's happening in the U.S., so we feel a little safer to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is a huge fucking deal.
Yeah. There have been some protests, and we'll see. I mean, it's been happening for 4 nights now, so we'll see.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Let's see. When Cuba goes free, what do they need most, humanity-wise and things-wise? I just think they need capital, lots and lots of capital, unfortunately, and investments. Are you guys ready for the space on Twitter tomorrow?
Hey, Leandro, what's up, dog?
Yes.
He's been helping us, Mari, with The Economist.
Oh, que bola mi vida. Okay. Yes, we need to plug this again for all the people who are watching. I don't know if you were or were not. We are going to do a Spaces tomorrow at the same time, right? Same time, 9 o'clock?
At 9 p.m. on X. So
On X.
If you've never done a Spaces, go ahead.
Yeah, I've never done a space before either. And I have literally no fucking Twitter followers. So everybody go follow me on Twitter. It's Joel and Mari. But we're going to talk about the economics of Cuba. And hopefully we get a Cuban economist to come in and talk about what it really means for the economy. How can American investment really boost all the questions that we have, like economic wise, not really political, more economics.
And then also because I love to talk about like the psychology of things, but we touched on this earlier, is you take Puerto Rico, right, as a territory, and not insulting anyone because people have gotten upset, and I don't care if you get upset, but this is a fact. 47% of Puerto Ricans are on welfare, right? So not a diss, it's just a reality. Will that happen to Cuba as well? Either their own welfare, or if they get, territory, whatever the fuck. Yeah, you say but like what percentage, right?
The 87%, double.
I doubt, but we'll leave that for tomorrow. So if you guys want to listen to that discussion, then go on X tomorrow, 9 p.m. And the Twitter Spaces is just like audio, so there's no video, but you don't need to see us.
Yeah. So it's just audio, it's no video, but it's kind of cool because you can like listen to it like a podcast. So please,
and if you want to speak, you can tune in, which is a cool part. Sorry, I forgot.
Yeah, and anybody can speak. I know here. I don't know if you guys like YouTube. YouTube. I don't know. We're trying this out. I kind of personally like TikTok because you can bring people in, and then people can
Okay.
start yelling at you. Yeah, TikTok, you can bring people in.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's cool. It's cool. But you can't stream multi at the same time. Anyways, it has its pros and cons. What was I gonna say? Nada. I don't remember. I don't remember my
Now the
train of thought.
spaces with Leandro was talking about the spaces tomorrow.
The
So yeah,
spaces, yes.
9 p.m. You can go follow us.
Yes.
We'll promote it a little bit before as well.
Oh, yeah. So, okay, Josue. I keep calling you Jose.
They've called me worse.
Mira, okay, any hide current comment. Okay, all right. Please tell them where they can follow you because I think you're brilliant and you should be way more
Thank you.
famous, I guess, for lack of a word. Follow. Even though
impact, not fame.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I think you should have more impact than you do. And even though I highly disagree with you and harass you in your comments all the time, I harass him all the time, you guys. I'm like,
No,
you're wrong.
It's not that bad. Trust me. In comparison with other messages I get here.
No. I always think, we have some disagreements, but we have more agreements than we do disagreements.
Yeah, that's true.
But tell everybody where they can follow you.
So every single platform at What Josue Has to Say, as I have it typed out here. The only one where it's different is on X, formerly known as Twitter. That's at What Josue Says. The name was too long, so I had to improvise. But TikTok, YouTube here. Please sign up to the YouTube, subscribe. I will be bringing different long form videos into YouTube exclusively soon. So if you'd like that, and yeah, everywhere else.
Yeah, I wish there was a way that I could tag, like you guys can just link to it. But if you guys can, right after this live, please go follow him.
I think in the description, no, you can put you can add.
I will. Yeah, I will, but that's post show. But anyways, all right, this was great. It was amazing. We got to do it again. And thank you so much for your time.
Definitely. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Mari. We'll talk.
Bye.
Bye.
Will do. Bye-bye.